Hello everyone and welcome to the Green Man channel. Hope you're doing good and well. So it's time for a new album review this Sunday, and I'm talking about the latest release from pop star Miley Cyrus and her album Something Beautiful, which came out on the 30th of May via Columbia Records, and the album is 13 tracks and 52 minutes in length. So I'm actually quite new to Miley Cyrus's music. I have listened to a few of her songs in the past, but never have I given time to one of her albums in full and actually sat down, listened to it and absorbed it. And with this album, I'm really pleased I have, because I discovered some great things on here. I really enjoyed a lot of the performances that she gave on this. Vocally, I think she showed a lot of strength and depth. I think there's a lot of really well produced songs on this album, and it's interesting who else has been involved in this record, and I will come on to that very shortly in my review as well. I think it's fascinating who else has worked with Miley Cyrus to produce this album. So apparently this record was inspired by Pink Floyd's The Wall, which is another win for me. Being a massive Pink Floyd fan, I was sort of very surprised to hear that maybe Miley's gone a bit prog here in this approach to this album. It's apparently quite a visual album that is on kind of working on the theme of healing. Right, and there's also a film to come out on the 6th of June that accompanies this album as well. So a part of me feels like I kind of want to see the film as well, really, because one thing I will say about this album is I feel like at times, as you go from track to track, I didn't always feel there were smooth transitions for me personally. I can sometimes understand the choices that she was making with each going from song to song and going for the album as a whole. But at times it didn't quite work for me, and I wonder if seeing the film might help with the transitions between songs and the visual aspects of those as well. So who works with Miley on this record is, as I say, what really fascinates me. So first of all, Sean Everett, who's quite a well-known producer in indie rock spheres, having worked with the likes of the Killers and the War on Drugs as examples, comes into the fray here. And working as executive producer with Miley, I think has produced some good results here. And also she's worked with the likes of musicians like Always, Molly and Alec, rather, from Always, one of my favourite bands of these times. I'm an absolutely huge Always fan. Seen them once live, I think, and I think they bring a lot of innovation to their music. If you don't know Always, and you're here to sort of follow my review about Miley, maybe you're a Miley Cyrus fan. I would highly recommend, if you like the track "The End of the World" on this album, which was co-written and produced by Always, you need to check out Always. They're an absolutely fantastic band. I can't stress that enough. And you're about to discover a hidden treasure of a band there that deserves so much more attention than they get. I mean, I don't think they're without their popularity, but they're not probably nearly as high profile as an artist like Miley Cyrus is, for instance. So anyway, they also worked with Danielle Haim and Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers as other examples of who they've worked with. There's a whole plethora of musicians here, and in some ways it's surprising that the end product, when you have so many people involved in an album, I think it can become overcrowded, but with this album, you've still got a really good end result, I think. So going into some of the songs for this review, Prelude is a sort of 80s sounding atmosphere setting track that I think sets up the rest of the album quite well. Then you've got the title track, Something Beautiful, which is more of an experimental, very dramatic, bordering on psychedelic type song. Lots of layers to it, takes a little bit of unraveling, an interesting track almost as effectively as like the first opening song on this record. Then you've got The End of the World, which is the song I mentioned where she's collaborated with Always, and I think it's almost like an Always song in all but the fact that Miley is singing in this, and it's a tremendous track, that one. As with so many Always songs, they're usually masterclasses in sound and songwriting, I think. I also really enjoyed the vulnerable ballad, More to Lose, which I thought showcased Miley's exceptional vocal range, ability, and vulnerability all in that one sublime song. Other tracks I want to shout out would be Walk of Fame, which is a disco pop dancier number with a really kind of momentous chorus in it. It's well helped, I think, by the beats and the effects that are used in the track too. Pretend You're God's another one I want to shout out, which reminds me of sort of 60s and 70s ballads. I couldn't name a specific ballad that it reminds me of, but there's just a moment, I think, particularly in the chorus, that reminds me of some of the tunes that we got back in that kind of an era of 60s and 70s kind of singer-songwriting. And Give Me Love is a beautiful song that sort of sees out the record. Really, really gorgeous track. Again, quite emotional. And you can tell that Miley's kind of, really putting in emotion and feeling into this record. It doesn't go without notice. You can't even casually listen to this album without noticing there's great melodies, strong songwriting and lyricism, I think, for the most part. And it is, sometimes you can hear her soulful reaches, and actually she's really trying to reach out to you in what she's saying, what she's singing and saying at the same time. Overall, apart from the slightly angular transitions for me, which, as I say, might be a better experience when you watch the film that accompanies the music here, I thought this was a tremendous record in terms of musicianship, and therefore I can't give this any lower than an 8 out of 10. I think that's what I'm going to give this album, an 8 out of 10. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, not just because Always were on it, but because it was genuinely a really surprisingly excellent and accomplished record from Miley Cyrus, and this has maybe won me over to her. I may check out some of her other albums as well now, but yeah, I definitely enjoyed this one. So hope you enjoyed my review, guys. Do drop a like and a sub if you enjoyed my content. I'm very close to 700 subs at the point of recording this video, so maybe you might just help me get over the line with that. But otherwise, from me, till the next time, go check out this record, and if you don't know Always, check them out too. From me, it's bye for now.